Welcome back to another Mindy's Monday Mayhem Tips. Live to you again from my home studio. Hopefully you enjoyed last week. This week we're going to talk about English paper piecing. So when you hear the words paper piecing, there's a lot of confusion. So there was a request to go over this topic for this week. So today we'll focus more on what's called English paper piecing, which is using what we call the four-letter hand word. It's all hand piecing. I actually enjoy it, as a nighttime activity, especially when I travel. If I'm on the road, sitting in a hotel room, or when I'm camping, I like to have this as something that's kind of nice, relaxing. It becomes almost mindful for me. So this is one of my favorite techniques. I just don't always have a lot of time for it because it's definitely what they call slow stitching. So, and it is very true to that. So let's make sure we understand the difference between English paper piecing and foundation paper piecing. So foundation paper piecing is where you're using foundation papers like these. So if you're following the temperature quilt this time, I am using these cupcake papers, which are nice little foundation papers. So you're using these as a background for your fabric. Hey, Trina, all the way from Texas now. We miss you. So welcome. And Miss Terry, thanks for joining. So foundation paper piecing is going to get you nice, crisp points. Makes things very easy because you're using paper as your foundation while you sew with your machine. So let's not get confused. Foundation paper piecing, you still use your machine. It keeps everything nice, stitched and pretty. But today we're talking English paper piecing. So we're going to set that guy aside and explain all the ins and outs. And there's kind of a lot. So hang on with me and we'll try to keep you in the know and not confused. So some of the basics are, of course, the foundation. So it still has a paper foundation that you use for English paper piecing. A lot of times I like to buy pre-packaged. So like these are 1-inch pre-cut hexagons, and your papers can come in all different sizes. So it doesn't have to be hexy. Hexy is just a great way to start. It's somewhat simple. You can even do bigger. So these guys, they're like 2-inch hexies, which makes them go really fast into a project. And I just have, as you'll see, if you've done any of my projects, I should own stock in Ziploc baggies. They become my favorite. So I have just stacks of papers. And then I like to buy pre-cut hexies. So I have all kinds of Tula Pink hexies. Every time a new collection comes out, I order hexies just for me, because someday in my head I think I'm going to make this huge Tula multi-collection hexie quilt. So this is from the latest one, Line Work. It has all of her black and white pieces that have color in them. So and it's just fun. They're pre-cut. You don't have to do any work. Get your papers, get your hexie, and then I'll show you the other supplies you'll need, and you just start stitching. So the basic supplies for these come down to papers. If you want them, you can cut your own papers. It's just tedious, a lot more work. I'm not a fan of tedious. I don't have time for all of that. So I like getting pre-cut, or you can get templates. What I like about templates is I use these ones for cutting the fabric, so that kind of like these pre-cut ones, it helps make the design the correct size and it's ready to go. What's really fun is you either have your regular template, and it will show you, we'll see if we can get really close to that camera, you'll have your seam allowance in here, and this has a paper back. So once you peel off that acrylic, I'll show you a different one, it will become see-through. Now these are specialty acrylics for Tula. So these ones are pink, but you'll see they are see-through. This one just happens to be hot pink, and this is from Tula Nova. It's a English paper piecing from Tula Pink that I did a sew along with. But once you take the paper off, you can see through it. What's really fun is now Paper Pieces has made these acrylics, and we do carry all this in the store. We do support English paper piecing quite well in the store. We have a lot of papers and templates, designs, and we can always order. If there's something you see you want, let us know. We'll gladly get it in. And we do have a paper piecing club. It is now run by one of our lovely teachers, Linda Angel, has taken it over for me just because I kind of run out of time. And she's very, very prolific at it. So I kind of handed the baton to her and she's just run with it. Hey, all the Dianes, I love it. There's, you know, several of you. And thanks about the nails. Valentine's nails. My nail artist is fabulous. But what's nice with this template is it actually has nothing in the middle. So if you're trying to do what they call fussy cutting, this is a great way to be able to see on your fabrics. Now, and I'll show you an example of that. What we also got in that's a lot of fun, if you haven't seen this collection, this is a newer collection. It's called Blooming Bunch. So we can never remember her real last name, so we always call her Marsha Brady. So if you were a fan of the Brady Bunch, this is Maureen McCormick. That's her name. Yay! Marsha Brady actually came out with her very first fabric line for Moda, and we have the whole collection in, and we have these fabulous hexies. So, and they're all pre-cut, ready to go. But if you don't have them pre-cut, what you can do if you see fun flowers and things that you want to cut out, you'll use a template like this to do fussy cutting. So fussy cutting is where you can find a design on a fabric and try to spotlight it. So say this fabric, I wanted to get the tuna can in there. I could line my template up, make sure the tuna can is centered in the middle, because the outer ring of this template is what's representing that seam allowance that you are going to lose. So that is the fun part of these templates. Paper Pieces does a fabulous job. Love them to death of coming up with the best ways to do your paper piecing. So I'm a definite fan of templates. Once I started using them, I can't stop. I had a student tell me, oh, you should do those. And I went, oh, but I can make my own. And once I tried these ones, especially because they're nice and thick, as opposed to using template plastic, which you can use, I found that it was just so much easier. The templates were made for me. They're all the right size. And because they're a thicker acrylic, you're not accidentally cutting them, which I happen to do a lot with the thin template plastic that you can buy in the store. But if you're doing a small project and don't want to invest in acrylic templates, then template plastic's the way to go because it's inexpensive. You use it for the one project. It's not a big investment. You just draw out all your designs, cut them out, use it for what you need to for that project, and then it's not a big deal if you don't ever use them again. So definitely a fan of the nice hard acrylics. Picking up fuzz from my room. Some other fun things and definite necessities for English paper piecing is, of course, the needles. You will want to play around with different sizes. These are Milners. Milners happen to be my favorite. I did start out with like hand embroidery needles. I've used, what have I used? Applique needles. A little bit of everything I've tried. Milners have become my favorite because they are thinner. So they're going to leave less of a hole in my fabric, less to see with that thinner needle, and I use a thinner thread. So definitely a lot easier for my stitch to disappear, but I have not perfected my stitch. Do not look closely to any of my English paper piecing. I'm still a fan of it's done. It's not perfect. I like to get things done. So I don't focus quite as much on the perfect stitch as I do just making sure it's done. So my preferred stitch is just a basic whip stitch. It's just my go-to. It's what I can do quickly. I can do it on the road. I don't have to think about it, but there are tons of tutorials. Definitely go check out Tula Pink's tutorials. Check out Violet Craft. She does tutorials. There are people that do ladder stitches. There are ones, Karen the DIY. She does a flat back, which is a nice stitch that hides really well in your English paper piecing. It just takes practice, patience, something I don't have, but there's definitely lots of different stitches. If you come to our paper piecing club, which I believe is starting back up in February in the store because it is a smaller group, Linda will show you definitely. She's super good at like the ladder stitch and making her stitch disappear. She's fabulous. I'm very jealous of how she stitches, and I just stick with that whip stitch, and that's what I'm happy with. So she's definitely a great teacher. She'll show you different tricks. Other things that I like to use, I was talking about using a thinner thread. I use what's called Deco Bob. This is one that was taught to me by Violet Craft. It is an 80 weight thread, so it is a lighter weight thread. Most of the time in your machine you have what they call a 50 weight. That's kind of down the middle. Your thread weights go from almost 0 to 100. The smaller the number, the thicker the thread. The higher the number, the thinner the thread. So 80 is almost at that 100, and you can do 100, but 80 is kind of that nice lighter weight. You're really not going to see it, but still nice and strong. Deco Bob is a polyester thread. I have not stayed a purist when it comes to threads with my paper piecing. I just like them to be strong. I'm not worried about them being in the cotton. Cotton's definitely a lot better than how it was back in the day when they were worried about polyester threads wearing out those cotton fabrics. So definitely I'm okay with it, and I like the stitch with it. And it's also great. You can machine quilt with it. You can machine piece with it. Violet uses it for everything. She does it in her foundation paper piecing to have a nice tighter, smaller thread in there so those seams aren't as bulky. She says she quilts with it, and I've seen her quilts with it, and it just, those threads disappear because it's a nice lighter weight. So I love these because they are just kind of a universal thread. So Deco Bob, we carry them in a 3-pack of neutrals, but you can get them in other colors too. If you want other colors, just let us know. Some other things for paper piecing. I am a glue baster. So when I am putting my fabric on my papers, I will glue baste. Now there are 2 types. You can thread baste or you can glue baste. I know I had samples laying around. And then I get all crazy and I wing things around in my room. So what I do is glue my seam allowance down. Okay, so it's pretty simple. I take a Soline glue pen. I have tons of refills because I use a lot of it. But what's nice is it is a water soluble, so you just get a little damp, it'll come off your paper, no big deal. But I essentially just take your paper, take your fabric, and then I'll sit and glue those seam allowances down. And so they'll look like this guy, nice and neat. I don't have to worry about anything pulling up. If it does happen to pull up because it sits around, I can just tack a little more glue. If you're thread basting, generally they say take a bright, ugly thread that you're tired of, and you just stitch directly through the papers, through the material, and do just a big basting stitch. And tack down your corners. So you would do a big stitch across the long, do a tack stitch on the corners, and keep going. Once again, there's videos out there you can watch. I probably could do a full-on video for you guys, but I already know I talk a lot. I really didn't think you wanted to be here all day with me. So we're just going to give you the basics. If you want more detail, let me know, and then maybe I'll just make that a kind of offshoot video for our YouTube on how to actually do full-on paper piecing, but just kind of giving you those basics. And then what you do once you have your papers basted is it's pretty simple. You put them together, and then you can take things like Wonder Clips. I love these guys. They're great for binding and stuff. Clip it together, I generally do, and then I'll stitch from one end to the other, and then you just keep continuous stitching and keep adding on. So I have kind of my sample here, my big guy. You can tell he's been crammed in a bag for a while. So all I did was start by putting 2 hexes together, and I stitched, and I went all the way around first. So I made kind of this fan of these hexes, and then I start joining each Y seam. So I'll keep going, and this one's joined, and then I'll take this one and I'll do it next. Now I've taken, as you can tell, this center paper out. That's why I go all the way around first, is that way these are on, and then I can start coming and doing these seams, and I just pop this paper out because every side now has something sewn to it, so I don't have to worry about the seams allowance or anything in there. And then I'll come and stitch outward. And if wonder clips aren't your thing, they get a little bulky in the way. What I love, Tula just came out. Look at this. These are the cutest thing. There's a company called So Tight, and they make these magnets. So one of the downfalls of wonder clips is it will press into that paper, start making dents and those kinds of things, and they can fall off and all that. So what's nice with So Tights is they have kind of a flat back and then this magnet front, and it will hold through the papers. And what's nice is I can just kind of slide and shift it and just keep moving it around as I need to, as opposed to trying to pick my clip up and move it around, especially if you have any dexterity issues. This is kind of nice because you can just move it around. And these are super cute. These are little heart shaped. They say Tula Pink in You is the little initials. It's like it's carved in a tree. If you can see that, we'll see. Super cute. And there's other shapes. There's rectangles and other ones. These are just my new favorites. So those are the basic tools I use for my paper piecing. So otherwise, it's really just sitting and sewing all your pieces together. And there's so many different patterns out there. But if you're a beginner, I always recommend just start with hexies, whatever size you want, whatever kind. You know, so just pick a package, a pre-cut, or sit down with fabrics and templates and just start cutting fabrics out. And then pick your papers, cut papers if you want. If you have a Cricut, I believe they have templates and things. They'll cut them out for you. And you don't have to stick with hexies, like I said. There's triangles and octagon, you name it, there's all kinds. And Tula's got quite a few patterns. Violet Craft has a few patterns. There's all kinds of people. Kachimeric, if you've ever heard of the Mille Fiore, I did that as an English paper piecing sew along, and that one is stunning. If you want to see that one, let me know. It's hiding in my office with my Tula Nova waiting to be quilted. It's a lot of work, but it's very stunning in the end. A lot of fun playing with fabric. But yeah, just get ready to kind of sit and sew and relax, unplug, unwind. If you're trying to get away from your phone, if you need something to watch during the game or when your husband's watching something you may not be interested in, this is a great thing to kind of keep you busy. And like I said, I love it when I travel. I'll sit and just like glue baste a bunch of stuff, get it all ready, all in baggies, and then take it with me and travel. And I'll even brought out, I have my big bag. And so just kind of an idea. This is, I have bags upon bags. And so I sit and I prep and I just get all these pieces ready. So this is part of my Tula Nova. And so I just have baggies. And these are triangles. These are fun pieces. And I'll show you kind of what it'll look like, so you get an idea. You can always go what I call kind of that next level. So Tula Nova, or no, this is Tula Sunrise. So you start to make, it's in rings. This is a super fun one to fussy cut. So if you have De La Luna floating around in your room, this is an awesome one to use the ladies. And so it's just rings with the fussy cut heads. And I have a picture. So that's kind of what Tula Sunrise, that's how she designed it. She was using monkey wrench. That's what it was. Geez. Some days. We'll see if I can remember everything. But I'm using it because I love, love, love. I have all these ladies all kind of cut and ready to go. Like I said, I use plastic baggies galore because they just work fabulous to keep everything, and they're inexpensive. Go to the dollar store, buy the cheap ones. You don't need expensive Ziploc bags to keep all your English paper piecing together. Really, you don't. And then just find bags to keep it all organized. And like I said, I have plenty going on at once because look, This is Violet Craft's lion. He's half done. Don't ask how long he's been half done, but he is. He just sits here and waits. And then I just pick up different projects, and I'm gonna lose an earbud, and that's okay. But I just have them ready to go. Everything's glue basted, ready to rock and roll, and just to sit and stitch. So if you want details on stitching, definitely, if you're local to us, sign up for club. Go see Linda. She'll show you all the ins and outs of how to do the actual stitching. Otherwise, if you guys really want me to get super in depth, that'll be another video. We'll just keep on going. But hopefully this explained English paper piecing for a lot of you, because I know we get calls all the time. Yeah, I want to do paper piecing. Okay, which one? So hopefully this helped. Now you know. English paper piecing, handwork. Foundation paper piecing, machine work. So you'll definitely get that question if you call us and just say, you know, oh, I want to take that paper piecing. Okay, well, which one? Allison Glass, some print layer cakes. Unfortunately, no. I don't know that we have any layer cakes right now. Pre-cuts are hard to come by right now. With everything going on in the world, trying to get anything is super complicated. They're struggling, especially with pre-cuts, just because of where they have them done. And fabric alone is months and months behind. It takes 2 weeks. If I put in an order today that they have in stock, it won't go out through shipment. They said a minimum of 2 weeks. So we're struggling. But we do have Allison Glass. We have all our new stuff on order because we love her. So don't worry if you've seen the new Sun prints and her new stuff. Yes, it's coming. I just don't have any of it, the older Sunprint stuff in stock as layer cakes, but we still have some yardage. And yes, Miss Terry, we are opening back up for some classes starting next month. Smaller classes first, because we can only have 6. We're still held by those rules. So the small group classes will start, and then hopefully phase 2 will give us a larger class count. So we are trying to be hopeful, slow roll back into some stuff, but definitely Nancy Chong's classes, her applique classes, beginning quilting classes, some of those are starting to come back in February, which is a week away, which is kind of scary. We lost January already, and it's only just begun. So keep an eye on the newsletter. It will go out tomorrow, and it'll tell you what classes are coming, specials, events, those kinds of things, more virtual classes. I am still plotting and planning some more virtual type classes, so don't worry. They're coming. Oh, Lisa, yeah, we miss retreats. I can't. Oh, I so miss retreats. We do have the virtual overnighter coming in March. Someday it will go back to being in the store, but there are some things that we are at least keeping virtual because we miss them so much, like the overnighters. So we're doing the best we can to stay as normal as we can for you guys. But otherwise, I really appreciate you joining me today. Hopefully this made sense. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to us at the shop. If you have suggestions for videos or things you want me to talk about, send them to me, Mindy at quiltingmayhem.com. Call us at the shop. Come see us if you're local. Absolutely, we are still open 10 to 4 every day. Just with the limitations, the masks and those kinds of things, we're still following all the standards. So yeah, come see us. We're a good excuse to get out of the house. As you can tell, the sun's even shining today, so great day to get away. And otherwise, you guys have a happy Monday and keep on stitching.